and just him tapping the keypad for a lock. That, I never saw anything like that. So, not in the civilian world. So, of course, I was a kid, didn't have a lot of exposure, but still, that stuff was not common like it is today.
Nevertheless, open sesame.
The big door opens up, and it's double thick, and this thing finally opens up. And when it opens, the lights come on. And when the lights come on, we go in, and once again, this room's lit really strange. You can look around on the floor, and there's no shadows. Like a paint booth. When you paint a car, there's no shadows in a paint booth. Because a painter can't afford to have shadow. You get to run the paint, he won't see it.
Of course.
So that's how this entire big work bay was lit up, and I just thought that was kind of neat. So there was a huge something sitting on a big, like a steel table that was pretty long, probably about 60 feet long. But so.
What was it? What did it look like?
Well, it was under tarps, and when he pulled the tarps back, I went, "Holy cow!" It's an electromagnetic fusion engine, somewhat similar to mine.
Click, click, click. All of a sudden, here's why they've got you there.
Yeah, I went, it's obvious. I mean, I've got, I'm be modest here. Geez, I had a Wright Flyer, like Orville Wilbur Wright, pulled up next to a 747. The power differential and the complexity is so diverse, but they both work in the same principle of flight. So my engine was about the size of a watermelon. This thing's about the size of a school bus or a Greyhound bus. It was huge, and I'm going, and I was a little disappointed. I thought I was kind of smug a little bit. I thought I was kind of getting a jump on people, but obviously I wasn't, because here they had this thing sitting there, and it was just tremendous power, but it had been damaged. It had tremendous damage area in the center.
Oh, it had been, as in a crash or something?
Yeah, it had actually a core breach has occurred.
All right. Hold your story. We're at the bottom of the hour. What do you think he was about to examine, folks? David T. Adair is my guest. I'm Art Bell, and this is Coast to Coast AM. All right, back now to David Adair, and here you are below this middle hangar at Area 51 or Dreamland, and you're in a special room, and they uncover this engine or this thing. I guess it's an engine, and it's partially power plant, and it's partially damaged. And so now you've got to conclude one of two things: either we have manufactured this, it's ours, and they're showing it to you because you have discovered a similar technology or used similar technology, or it's from elsewhere. I mean, when you look at this thing, what do you conclude?
It took, when I first looked at it, it took me probably about a minute. I was standing there, and they were talking to me, and I really wasn't hearing them that well because I was just staring at this thing.
Sure.
And the first thing that really struck me is the alloys, and the material it's made out of, and the manufacturing of it. As big as it was, there's not a single rivet, screw, bolt, seam line, weld line, nothing on it.
It's one continuous piece?
It looked like it grew. It looked like the whole thing looked like it was alive. I mean, it had what I call organic technology. Did you ever see the movie Alien with alien creatures?
Of course.
The man that does it is H.R. Geiger, and that is the kind of look this thing had.
Can you give us a visual idea of what shape it was or what it looked like?
Yeah, think of two octopuses facing each other with all their tentacles interwound with each other like they're having sex.
Okay.
And that's what it looked like.
I've never seen
like
octopus.
Two big round spheres.
I can imagine.
With all this tremendous piping, type ducking all through it. What that was, mine was similar in nature, but boy, this thing was just so radically different. Those, I would assume, were more like twin particle accelerators, which they would accelerate the mass, and then they would, the thing had a figure-8 pattern to it, so it looked like they were converging the power into a figure-8 pattern, which would make a lot of sense. It would give you an infinity loop, and then now that infinity loop would allow you to create the electromagnetic field you need and be a great way to sustain it, which quite frankly, that was a great day for me because I figured it was like showing you a test, the answers to the test. And I went, cool, this will work. So then I had to ask him. I thought, hey guys, if we have this engine, we're about to launch Apollo 14. It's 1971, and I said,
right.
Why are we using liquid fuel engines when you guys got this thing, And they're going, well, it's still pretty much experimental, son, and you can tell by the damage it's had we're having some problems with it, and that's the reason we brought you in here. We'd like to have your opinion on it. And I went, well, where's the guys that built the thing? Well, they're not here right now. They're on vacation.
Oh, yeah, right.
And I'm sitting there, well, you got to remember, I'm a child. And so they're going to talk to you like one. So I'm sitting there going, well, they leave you any notes? And they said, well, no, but we'd like your opinion on it if you'd walk over and take a look at it. You want to help your country, don't you, son? And I went, yes, sir. I listened to Anita Bryant. And I did. I really did. So, but I knew something wasn't right. It just didn't feel right because I was looking at the alloys and I'm going, I have never seen anything like that in my life. And already I've seen a facility that seemed to be a little bit ahead of the true value hardware. So I'm going, oh man, what have they got going here? And this thing had something running down its side, which there was a lot of devices, or I don't know what they were, contraptions on this thing. I guess they were some kind of interface or couplings for mass flows of the particle accelerator chambers. But there was a lot of devices on there I didn't recognize. And there was this one thing in particular run down its side, which the only way I can describe it looked like gills of a fish.
Gills of a fish? Right,
and it was like baffles, some kind of baffling system. I'm not sure what these baffles were for.
So what did they expect from you? I mean...
An opinion. That's basically what they're looking for. They asked me to take a close look at it and give them my opinion of what I think this thing is or how it functions. And
did you go up and touch it?
Oh yeah. Matter of fact, I wasn't going to miss this one. And when I got to it, I said, I need to climb up on this thing, take a really good look at it, and I need to look at that damage area. That's what they wanted to know. They wanted my opinion of what happened in that damage area.
Uh-huh.
So when I walked up to it, the first thing I noticed is there's a silhouette of me on it.
Excuse me, a silhouette of you?
Yeah. Now, what did I just tell you about the room? There's no shadows in that room.
Oh, that's right. That the lighting was totally even.
Right. How could there be a full silhouette of me on the engine? So I backed off and I went, it dissipates. And I got up closer and it becomes really crisp. And then I moved down alongside it, and guess what? The shadow's about a half second behind you. And I went, oh, God, heat-sensitive recognition alloy. I didn't even know we had such a thing. So I told them I need to crawl up on top of it, and they said, fine.
Wait a minute. Heat-sensitive recognition alloy. What you're telling me is that as your shadow...
It's picking up the radiation off my body and reflecting it into a pattern.
And reflecting it into a pattern that lagged your movement a little bit?
Sure, because I moved.
Wow.
And it would have to focus once you get in front of it, so you got, a little...
I understand.
A tenth of a second lag, which is kind of fun. I was waving my arms in front of it, and I looked over at them. They were frowning a little bit because I guess they figured I done caught on to something already. And I'm going, this is cool. And so anyway... When I grabbed hold of these panels, that was the second thing that was, it's the third thing. First thing I noticed is no seams, lines, wells, marks, nothing. It looked like it grew. Then you got this weird shadow pattern on it. And next thing happened, when I grabbed hold of the baffle thing to pull myself up, that's where it got interesting. These baffles type things are translucent somewhat, and they're about an inch thick. And when you grab hold of them, wherever your skin is touching it, this really neat swirl-looking pattern would run through the alloy and radiate away from you. And it kind of looked like a, how you...
I can imagine that. I mean,
like a motion wave. Remember that motion wave machine people sat on a desk that goes back and forth?
Of course.
Okay, look, nice swirling wave, and it's blue and white, pretty colors. And I thought, wow, that's neat. So anyway, I'm pulling up and crawling up on top of the engine. I'm walking down this thing. And I'm walking down toward the center of it where there's a huge hole. And I believe what has happened, I'm just going to get a closer look. So as I'm walking toward the hole, by the way the metal looks around the blast area, it had a breach in its core. So what happened was this alloy was exposed to the internal temperatures, which these engines run 100 million degrees centigrade.
100 million degrees centigrade.
Right. This is plasma physics, and that's normal temperatures for these things. So what happened when it lost its field? The alloy was exposed to that temperature, so it was vaporizing